Hey there, and welcome back to the Dreamspace Dispatch. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time joining us, settle in. This is a cozy corner of the internet where we talk about writing, creativity, and what it means to carve out space in a world that doesn't always make room. And if you've been here before, welcome home. Let's begin with our first segment, Current Glimmers, a cozy check-in where we talk about what's happening in our world, the energy we're bringing in, and how we're showing up today. It's hot out today, like heat dome. Don't leave the house unless absolutely necessary hot. I've got the fan on full blast and an iced coffee the size of my head and a very sleepy dog named Monet curled up nearby. If you're doing the same, laying low, keeping cool, then you're right in the spirit of today's episode. Last time we talked about boundaries, when to set them, why they matter, and how freelancers and creatives need them just as much as anyone else. This week, we're continuing that thread, but we're going deeper. Today's theme is our words are weapons, as medicine, as spells. We're going to explore the ways women across time, culture, and circumstance have used language not just to communicate, but to survive, to dream, to heal, and to resist. So whether you're listening while journaling, daydreaming, or just existing quietly in the heat, welcome. You're right where you need to be. Now for our next segment. We call this the deep dive, where we explore the heart of the episode. These are the topics that sit heavy on our chests, spark our minds, or have been echoing through time. Today's deep dive is all about the wield and weight of words. Let's begin with this truth. Women have always written, even when we weren't allowed to. Even when we were told it wasn't proper, or safe, or worthwhile. We wrote in diaries, tucked under floorboards. We wrote in letters disguised as recipes or herbal instructions. We wrote with false names, with initials, with anonymity. We wrote even when the world told us we had nothing worth saying. I write for those women who do not speak, written by Audre Lorde in her publication, The Transformation of Silence into Language and Action. Writing has never just been about self-expression. For so many of us, women, queer folks, marginalized people across time, writing has been survival. Think of the enslaved women who told stories in secret songs, the queer women whose poetry lived in metaphor, the midwives and herbalists who documented knowledge in symbols and sigils, the spinsters and widows who filled pages no one ever thought to read. For most of history, Anonymous was a woman, said by Virginia Woolf in her publication A Room of One's Own. This legacy is layered, complex, coded, often erased, but it's also fierce. It is a lineage of resistance, stitched into every journal, every blog post, every quiet act of saying, I exist, I remember, and I matter. And I'm part of that lineage too, in a different way, but no less real. I've been a freelance writer for a long time. I've written under a pen name, not to hide who I am, but to protect who I am. I value my privacy, and to take back the power to choose what parts of me the world gets to see. And let me be real. Being a woman writer in freelance spaces, especially online, comes with a particular kind of erosion. It's in the way older men assume they know my job better than I do, even though they've never done it. It's in the casual mansplaining of my own industry back to me, like I'm a junior intern at my own desk. It's in the patronizing tone, the dismissiveness, the false compliments that come with a power imbalance attached. It's in being told that my words are too emotional or too angry or too much, that my value is negotiable, that I should be grateful, that silence would be easier. But we are not here to be easy. We are here to be true. Bell Hooks once said, I will not have my life narrowed down. I will not bow down to somebody else's whim or to someone else's ignorance. And still I write anyway. I write through burnout, through the heat, through the emails that ask for too much and offer too little. I write not just because I want to, but because I have to. Because if I stop, they win. And because I know that somewhere out there, someone else is looking for proof that their voice still matters. So if you're listening right now and you've ever had your work dismissed, your voice interrupted, your value questioned, you're not alone. Your writing is a weapon, a balm, a spell. You come from a long line of women who wrote in the dark. You are carrying ink that was never meant to dry out. And your voice, it still echoes. It always will. And now we're heading into Ink and Income, our freelance writing corner. This is where I share advice, rants, and hard-earned wisdom from the messy, magical world of working with words for a living. Whether you're a seasoned writer or just starting out, this space is for you. So here's what's on my mind this week. Men who think they know how to do my job better than I do. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good collaborative conversation. I'm all for learning new things, but there is something particularly exhausting about being talked over, talked down to, and second-guessed about my own damn profession. It's the client who rewrites your entire sentence to say exactly what you already said, just with worse grammar. It's the guy who assumes your rates are flexible because you must be doing this as a hobby. It's the unsolicited advice, the condescension, the complete disregard for the expertise you've worked years to build. And it happens all the time. This is the idea that because we're women or femme or queer or not traditionally loud, our work is less valid, less credible, less valuable. That we should be grateful for opportunities that pay insultingly low rates, or that we owe someone a discount just for being nice. But here's the thing. I have done this work. I know what I'm worth, and I'm not here to shrink myself to make someone else feel comfortable. We are allowed to stand tall in our skill. We are allowed to set rates and boundaries. We are allowed to say no with that explanation, and we're allowed to say, actually, I know exactly what I'm doing. So if you're listening and you've had a week like I did, where your patience wore thin and your inbox tried you, just know you're not alone. This space, it's for us. The working writers, the digital freelancers, the ones making it work without a safety net. We have earned every word we write, and it will not be diminished. So here's your gentle but firm reminder, especially if you're newer to freelancing and still find your voice. Just because someone says you're doing it wrong doesn't mean they're right, especially if they're not a writer, especially if they're not your client, especially if their unsolicited advice shows zero understanding of what you're actually building. There is a difference between helpful critique and ego-stroking interference. The former helps you grow. The latter wants you to doubt yourself just enough to hand over your power. You don't owe anyone free access to your process. You don't have to defend your choices, your pace, or your pricing. You are allowed to take your time and trust your timeline. So when some random dude pops up into your inbox to tell you what your client needs, just days after you launched it, feel free to hit archive or don't respond at all. That's not feedback, that's phishing. And your dream? It's not theirs to fix. Keep building. You've got this. Also, for the little men who emailed me this week about getting SEO on my site that I built 4 days prior, that I just started building 4 days prior, I have an SEO toolkit. Her name is Soul. She helps me find keywords, hashtags, and even phrasing that flows better for search visibility, and she does it in seconds. You know why? Because she's an AI who can comb through more data in 5 seconds than I'd care to spend 5 hours on. I could do it manually. I have, and I can. When I started this career, AI didn't exist. But you know what? I just don't want to, because it's tedious and time-consuming, and now I don't have to. Do I double-check manually? I absolutely do. However, this does not make me less of a writer using an AI. It makes me a strategic one. So no, I don't need your unsolicited SEO tips. I've already got it covered. Thanks for nothing. I'm building something real. I'm building an empire without your help. So you know what, gays and gals and non-binary pals, you've got this too. Even if someone tries to make you doubt it, especially then. Now that we've set the stage, let's step into something more lyrical. This next segment is called The Words We Carry, a place for creative pieces, poetry, or storytelling that emerged between episodes. Today's piece is called Why Women Wield Words Like Weapons, and it's the heartbeat of this entire episode. And this poem, this one is for every woman who has ever written in the margins, for every voice that was diminished, every story that had to be coded in metaphor to survive. It's a spell, a prayer, a reminder. Women have wielded words like weapons for centuries, forming the backbone of feminist writing, traditions and honoring the legacy of historical women writers. When voices were silenced, when names erased, when existence was denied, words remained, tucked into diaries, hidden between the lines, sung as lullabies to daughters, whispered to lovers, passed through generations as poems, as prayers, as prose. In a world that feared their truths, women carved reality with ink. They wrote themselves into being, into history, into resistance. They were midwives and herbalists, the silent stewards of women's health, knowledge and keepers of hidden histories, later called witches and burned. They encoded their remedies in rhymes. They turned their recipes into rituals. They hid healing in metaphor because it was safer than speaking plainly, safer than being seen. They were enslaved women who learned to read in secret, who taught others to write by candlelight, who enriched freedom in letters no one was meant to find. Their courage bled into every page. They were widows who refused to remarry. They were spinsters, called unnatural for choosing solitude over submission. They were queer women who dared to love in ink when they could not say it out loud. They wrote their longing in symbols, their devotion in coded metaphors, their desire in pen names and between the lines. Even now, women who write under pen names, navigating the lingering shadows of gender bias in publishing, to be heard, because algorithms still amplify men, because the gatekeepers will look for a certain kind of name, a certain kind of voice. Even now, women shape the world with stories, while often being told they talk too much. And still they write. They write themselves into jobs, into careers, into freedom. They write memoirs and manuals. They write essays and erotica. They write content and confession and contradiction. They write because the pen is theirs now, and it always has been, even if borrowed, even if hidden. Keep writing. Keep taking up space. Embrace your place in the lineage of creative empowerment for women. From hidden histories to modern women writers reclaiming the narrative. Speak loud or soft. Speak through satire, poetry, or rage. But do not stop. The words that once saved our ancestors might save someone else, might save you. Write how you speak. Write how you feel. If it needs polishing, polish it. But don't stop because someone told you not to begin. This is your pen. This is your sword. That piece came from a deep place, maybe a place you know too. If it stirred something in you, let it linger, let it echo. The words we carry aren't just stories, they're survival, they're memory, they're power. We'll take a softer turn now, into something a little more behind the scenes, a little more cafe table, less candlelit altar. And now, we come to one of my most favorite parts of this podcast, a segment I like to call Letters from Thimble. It's our quiet ending, our stitched-together soft landing. Thimble isn't just a character, she's a feeling. A reminder that our words don't have to roar to be real, that writing, even in solitude, still matters, that even if no one reads it yet, it still counts. So here's this week's letter. She writes, Dear listener, maybe your writing feels too small today. Maybe your thoughts feel tangled. Maybe you're wondering if it's even worth saying at all. But I want you to remember, even a single sentence can be a seed. Even a messy paragraph can be a prayer. Even a grocery list scribbled in your own voice is a spell. Write how you speak. Write how you feel. You were never meant to stay silent. Your words are not wasted. They are becoming. Love, Thimble. And that's all she wrote. But it's never all we write. If you're holding something in, maybe this week is your time to let it out, even if it's just for you. This final segment is called Echoes and Invitations, a moment to pause, reflect, and respond. It's where we ask questions not just to fill time, but to start a conversation with you. Because this podcast isn't a broadcast. It's a dialogue between us, between you and your own thoughts, between one writer's heart and another. So here's this week's reflection prompt, spoken softly so you can carry it with you. Think about the women in your life, past or present, who used their words to survive, to heal, to dream. What stories might they have written between the lines? And what stories are you carrying now in your own ink? Let it sit with you. Write about it in your journal if you like, or just hold it in your own thoughts as you move through the week. And if you feel called to share, We would love to hear from you. So, for our community prompt, here's what we would like to ask you. What do you wield your words for? Are they swords, songs, shields? Is there a story inside you that once felt too sharp to write down? Now, you don't have to post the whole thing, and you don't have to post anything too personal. Just share a sentence, a spark, a feeling, a thread from the web you're weaving. You can leave a comment or tag us if you post your thoughts somewhere. This space is open. I'm listening. And if you would like to relay your thoughts on air, let us know when you make your comment or your email. And if you would like to remain anonymous, let us know that too. And with that, we begin to close this chapter. But the conversation, it keeps going. In the dream space, in your notebook, in the quiet of your own mind. You are not alone here. We write together. Your words matter. Keep writing. Speak softly. Dream boldly. This space echoes because of you. That's it for this week's episode of the Dreamspace Dispatch. Thanks for joining us, for sitting in the quiet, for walking through the fire, and for writing your way through the in-between. You can find our latest blog post, quote art, and more over at dreamspacestudio.net. And if this episode stirred something within you, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment, send a note, or tag us if you share your reflections somewhere else. Because that, my friends, is how we use our pen as a sword, not to cut, but to hold our power and take up space, to share our intention and our heart, to share our fire, to inspire. And as always, keep your pen sharp, use it with intention, and keep writing.